everyone, and welcome back to Arguably Speaking.
I'm Kiera,
I'm Sarah.
and we're so happy you're back for another episode.
We are currently filming with a guest who is new to the pod. I will not use her name because she, in fact, will not be speaking because she is a pooch. And we're trying very hard to have her be a quiet pooch while we are recording this. But I will apologize in advance, for I am the one who is the caretaker of the pooch. And if you hear any dog-related noises, I will take full responsibility. Kiera is not to be blamed for the quality of this episode.
Yeah, we're gonna try to avoid all of the dog sounds, but our little, I was about to say feline friend, no.
Our little canine friend,
Our little canine friend
companion, if you will.
might making a little bit of noise in the background. But anyways, today we have a lot to catch up on. There's been a lot of adventures happening. Sarah has been on a trip to Nebraska.
It's true.
I went on a little ski trip, and now we're back together in Seattle.
Yay! Yay! So do you want to do your trip first, or should I do mine?
Why don't we start in chronological order? Because in
Okay.
addition to the trips, we also had Valentine's Day. So last time that we talked to you, it was Valentine's Day, February 14th. However, we had recorded that the day before, which means Valentine's Day itself hadn't happened for us yet.
It's true. It's very true.
And now it has. So, I mean, I can start a little bit because I feel like you might want a second to warm up
I would
and
love
think
that.
about your thing.
I would
but
love that.
Mine was pretty simple. I made a very nice charcuterie board. That was our thing. And got 7 different cheeses, a bunch of different meats. We had jams and fruits and nuts and all of those good charcuterie things. And had a giant spread of food. I was so full, and I still have a bunch of cheese left over, which is a big win.
Nice. Amazing.
And then after that, we did chocolate-covered strawberries and chocolate-covered blueberries.
Very
on
fun.
skewers.
Wow. That's
Which
so
was
fun.
good. And
I
then
feel
had
like
a whole
they
bottle
had
of
to
wine.
Nice. Amazing. A good end.
Yeah.
That's so funny. Were they really skinny skewers? I feel like a blueberry isn't big enough to be on a skewer.
These were really big blueberries.
Wow.
Like, it made sense.
That's so
We
fun.
put like 5 or 6 blueberries on each skewer.
Nice.
Yeah,
That
it was
sounds
great.
amazing. It sounds like those little chocolate covered fruit things that we get
The
at
edible
Costco.
arrangements?
No.
Brookside.
Yes, those ones.
Well, these were fresh blueberries, so they're a little bit different, but
That
yeah,
makes sense.
still very good, very good. Yeah. But
Very
how was
fun.
your Valentine's Day,
My
my sweet?
Valentine's Day was good. I made some caramel in the morning because I was responsible for bringing the dessert equation of my dinner. And I had all of the ingredients to make caramel, and we also had some pretzels left over from our Super Bowl. So I was
Nice.
like, I'm gonna make some poor man's take fives, which is just caramel, pretzel, and chocolate. And the chocolate did not happen, and I really only ended up making the caramel, and then I put the caramel like on a couple of pretzels and brought those, and then I also just brought a bunch of, cut up caramel, which was delicious, and we still have some, which
Yes.
is awesome.
And I can attest the caramel is absolutely wonderful. Sarah did like a test run of caramel a few months ago now at this point, and it was good, but it was like not quite like hard and like
Yeah.
caramelized enough. This one, oh, you did good, Sarah.
Thank you.
You
Thank
did
you.
great.
I cooked it like 20 minutes longer. Honestly, it was a really substantial amount because
Wow.
it was so light to begin with because it involved a lot more of the light corn syrup than the brown sugar, which sounds gross, and I'm sorry. But hey, caramel is really just a bunch of corn, so you guys know, with a little bit of sugar and butter in there. But anyways, so yeah, I made that, and then I, tried to get cute or whatever, and I rushed out of the house and took the bus, and it was fine.
And ran into Kiera on the way.
I did.
Yeah,
Which
we
was kind of funny.
met each other on public transit as we were
Yeah.
going to
Yeah.
our respective places.
Very cute, and I was like, Happy Valentine's Day! And all of the strangers were like, Who are these random kids? And it was very cute, I think. But yes, so I went and I had dinner with a person that I have been going on a couple of dates with, and several funny things about the evening. Something that you should know, dear listener, is that this person has not lived here for very long. They moved up here maybe a month ago, give or take a week, right?
Wow.
Okay, yeah.
Wow.
So like kind of moved in like the week before we began dating or something like that.
Wow.
I know, wild, wild. But anyways, so I get there and I'm like, "Oh yes, a perfectly respectable apartment. Lovely." And then I'm like, "Okay, we should start cooking." This person does not know how to cook.
Dang.
Like could trust them to boil water. And I
But
was
not much
like,
more than that.
you should cut up the chicken because we were doing chicken Alfredo because for my Valentine's Day I love me a spaghetti and meatballs, but they like chicken Alfredo better, so I was like, that's fine. But yeah, so cut up the chicken really thickly, which means that it took a really long time to cook.
Oh, unfortunate.
Which was fine. It was fine, but it was just very funny because it was like, "Oh, do you have any oil?" And then I was like, "There's little tiny bottle of oil. It's never been opened." And I was
Oh.
like, "Oh, hey, yeah. Like, do you have any salt?" And it was like a fresh salt shaker that has never been opened. And it's like,
What
do
is
you?
this person eating?
That's what I asked because I like opened the fridge, right? And I see in the fridge is like the bottle of chicken Alfredo sauce, like one carton of milk, and the chicken, and like
So,
maybe two other things.
so only the things basically needed to make this dish.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. And I was like, this is wild. And I was like, what do you eat? And he was like, well, I usually just eat out. And I was like, okay, Mr. has a lot of money and can eat out. That's wild. Sure. So that was fine, whatever, right? That was the start of the night, and it, everything else, we ate the dinner, we watched the movie, things were great. Um, the other thing that should be noted is that going on my way to the bathroom, I noticed that this person does not actually have a mattress yet.
Yeah, that's rough.
Just a couch. No, he's been sleeping on the couch this whole time, which is
Wow.
so funny.
Not that anyone cares, but this is a very tall man.
Yes.
That
And
must
a
be
very
rough.
uncomfortable couch, I will say, to be sitting on and watching a movie. But
It's been
yeah,
a month. What the heck?
I know, I know.
He needs to
I
get
thought
on
that
top
was
of that.
super wild. And don't you worry, I made many jokes at the expense of this man because of that.
As you should.
I was like, maybe if you, didn't eat out every single day, you would have enough money to buy a mattress.
Also, there's so many mattresses around.
There's so many mattresses around. I said something to the effect of like, I got my mattress on Facebook Marketplace along with a bed frame for like under
You
$100.
got it for $15, and really, I got it for
Really,
$15.
you got it for $15. But still,
And she was
like,
willing to give it away for free.
right, he could definitely have a mattress now if he just put in the work. And so I don't know, I was just shocked. So that, I don't know, those were the two really more notable things that I want to share with the pod. But yeah, so I don't like, did I have a nice evening? Yes. Were there a lot of things that were kind of funny? Also, yes. And so, yeah, I don't know. I had him drive me home because I had a flight at 5 in the morning the next day.
My
So
goodness.
that was super fun. And then I went off to Nebraska. So that's all I've really got to share with you.
So it sounded like we both had pretty eventful Valentine's days, and then Sarah went off to Nebraska. So tell all about your Nebraska trip,
Sure, sure.
please.
So
The
it
Cliff
was
Notes, because it was many days long.
It was many days long. I was there for 4 or 5, I think it was 5 nights actually, which is a very good amount of trip. And we had 3 birthdays that were happening, or at least not happening, but like being celebrated in the same weekend because I was there and we were trying to lump everything into one.
Yeah, of
And then
course.
also we had Valentine's Day, right before that. So, first night, Galentine's, cookies, wine.
Amazing.
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 Second night, karaoke for birthday number one. Very fun. Had a cider, sang some songs. Most notably, what did I sing? I sang You and I by Lady Gaga, which talks about
Mm.
her good old Nebraska guy. And I was like, my good old Nebraska girls. And it was very
Oh.
cute. It was very cute. And yeah, so that was okay, second night. Third night was PowerPoint night,
A good
which
night.
is why all of the dates happened really in the first place was crowdsourcing.
Yeah, wanted to have a good thing to present on.
And it was very fun. I will say that I don't think that I had the best PowerPoint there. And
Hmm.
I think that all in all, there was no like bad PowerPoint, which was very exciting. No
Nice.
one went for too long. We all like, stayed pretty on theme, spoke well, and
What was the
everyone was pretty
theme?
funny. Like no one rambled.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, they stayed on their theme.
Right. Yes.
Gotcha,
Yeah, yeah,
gotcha,
yeah, yeah.
gotcha, gotcha.
So that was really fun. I told Kiera already this, but I'll share it with the pod too. One of the last PowerPoint that was shown, and I think the funniest one for me at least, was one of my friends had her high school age sister and high school aged sister's friends rank all of the NFL quarterbacks on a scale of 1 to 10, but then also based on attractiveness, but then also provide commentary for their rankings. And these girls tore these men to shreds. It
High
was so
school girls are
funny.
brutal, so I can understand.
It was so funny. It was like there were a couple that were like, mainly just mean, and then some that were really like odd in terms of like this person looks like, he would be the person teaching a history class, but also watching the game on his computer at his desk or something like that.
Oh, yeah.
Like just like kind of mean and also kind of weird like things to come up with. All in all, very fun. So yeah, that was night number three. Night number four, I went to a swing dancing and country line dancing
Ooh.
place, which is very fun.
Was it
I've
the
been
same
before.
place that I've
It was the same
Oh,
place, and the place was packed too. I don't know. They increased their price from $5 to $6, and I was like,
dang.
I wonder if they're gonna lose some people. Mm-mm. This place was poppin'. Everybody and their brother was there, listening to the live country bands and having a great time.
That's
And yeah,
awesome.
yeah. So it
Like
was
six
really
dollars
fun.
isn't crazy, but it's not like a single dollar bill anymore,
Right,
you know?
exactly, exactly. So you got to bring $10, and you have $4 left over to buy like water or maybe a beer,
Mhm.
depending on what kind of beer you had the taste
Did you
for.
realize everything was just so much cheaper in
Yeah,
Nebraska again?
yeah, it was so wild. I was like, "Whoa, really? I can get this, and it's not $20? That's awesome."
Every time you go out anywhere in Seattle, it's like, "Oh, it's $20.
Yep,
Okay,
I can afford
cool.
this. It's
That's
okay.
fine." But anytime I go anywhere else, I'm like,
Wow,
nice.
this
This
is
is
great.
great.
Yeah, no, it was super, super good. And then, yeah, on the last night I was there, we went to trivia, and
Ooh.
my team won.
Oh my gosh,
I
I've
know.
never won trivia.
Let's be real. If I was on the team or not on the team, it wouldn't have made a difference. The only thing I contributed was walking the answers to the person, like, because we would write it down on little sticky notes. Also, the person running the trivia was one of my other friend's roommates. And so, like, she doesn't, she, her trivia isn't like aggressively hard. It's just stuff that she comes up with. Yeah, so we did the trivia thing. I will say most of the time during the days, I would just sleep in because all of those nights ended
Really
around
late.
1 a.m.
Last year, well, I guess it's a little bit better because it was 2 hours ahead, so it only felt
Right.
like 11 p.m.
Yeah,
probably.
which is like the reason I was still saved in terms of being able to do evening things because as we know, listeners of the pod, I am not a night owl.
No, no. She's an earth
So,
bird.
but yeah, I also watched a lot of TV because sometimes when you're in a place with friends, you want to watch television shows together and not move and then just have really long conversations. So we would do that, and I watched the first season of The Good Place and the third season of Only Murders in the Building.
Whoa.
Mm,
Okay,
a
yeah.
lot of
I
TV.
first of all, The Good Place, amazing. So
I
far.
was the season finale of The Good Place. I was like, I never saw this coming. Anyways, how was your weekend after Valentine's
Yes.
Day?
So post Valentine's Day is already Thursday. And then Friday, yeah, I didn't do anything extravagant on Thursday. Honestly, just caught up on all of the schoolwork and stuff that I was trying to postpone. But Friday was great because my friend is he got a smoker and is so into smoking random foods and meats. So he made brisket,
Wow.
and it was so great. I just brought like a side dish. And then we had a little ski weekend. So we drove up to we kept calling it a cabin. It was just a house. It was an Airbnb. But
A house, but in the mountains, which
yeah,
means it's a cabin.
exactly. Yeah. So we had dinner because we wanted to eat this very nice smoked brisket that had happened and been smoking for like 12 hours or something crazy like that. Ate a bunch of food and then packed up all of our things and drove up to the house that's not a cabin. And when we got there, it was so cute. It was a very, very small house. But there were so many rooms. It's just like the living space is pretty small.
Mm.
And then we played a couple of games.
Kiera loves
We
games.
love board games. And then we went to bed so we could wake up early in the morning to go skiing.
How
And
exciting.
it's been like 6 years since I've gone skiing. So it's been a long time. Like I basically felt like I had to relearn because I wasn't an avid skier before. I just like skied
Yeah.
every once in a while, maybe once a year or so.
Well, you
Um,
might be bigger now, 6 years
yeah,
ago?
exactly, exactly. So I had to kind of relearn how to ski. But it was good. And I did a couple of runs down the bunny hill. And then I was just
Wow.
off doing blues and greens all day.
Oh
Didn't
my
do any
goodness.
black diamonds because that's scary.
Yeah, super scary.
And I was definitely like, I'm not afraid to fall. I'm overconfident. And so I felt like a notable amount, but I
Okay.
wasn't deterred, which was
That's
great.
good. That's good.
The only thing with that is I do have a couple gnarly bruises just like on my leg. One of them was not my fault though. One of them was because like the boot, because I was using rental boots and stuff,
Mm-hmm.
was so tight on my leg that it like every time I would move my leg, it would hit the same spot, and so it bruised
Oh
right there.
no.
And then the other one, I just fell.
Oh. So you have a new big knee bruise to
No,
go
it's
with your
not on
other?
my knee. It's like
Gotcha.
below my knee, which is exciting. And I've completely healed from all of the other bruises that I've had, except for these ones. Honestly, I've been bruising a lot of things because I've been falling and running into
Kira's
things a
been
lot.
cruising for a reason.
Yeah, it's slightly sad. But then that night we all played more games, and
So
we had
fun.
it was great. I love cooking meals with friends,
It's
like
so
all
good.
together, and when
Yeah.
everyone's doing something, like someone's cooking the pasta, and someone's cooking the side dish, and someone's cooking the dessert, whatever, whatever, whatever. And then you all
Yeah.
sit down together and have it.
Oh,
And
so
then
sweet.
the great thing is I was only doing 1 day of skiing and the others were doing two because they have season passes.
Oh,
And so they were like, "Oh, don't worry, like we can go whenever tomorrow because we've already gotten 1 day in." So the next morning we got to sleep in and I was super sore, but I got to sleep in, so it was good. And then we packed up all of the food and all of the things. Like we had a nice little breakfast. And then half of us, we brought two cards. So half of us went back to Seattle and the other half went back up to the slopes.
nice.
And then it's been today, and now we're back.
That sounds great. That sounds like a really great time. You know my feelings about skiing, which I do not project onto other people, but I am just far too afraid, and I think that it's far too expensive to hurl yourself down a hill and risk serious injury. But I think you had a great time, and I think that cooking with other people is really nice. And
I will say it was expensive, and I was like, wow. The only way I would ever do this, like, as a thing, is if I had a full-time job and also, like, would have to invest for a whole season and, like, really try to
and
be
just make
good.
that your year,
Yeah,
your
yeah.
skiing year.
Your skiing year, you get good at it, and all those things.
Yeah, that makes
Yeah.
sense. Well,
Yeah.
fun. Do you have anything else to do catch-ups on?
I don't think I have anything else super notable. I mean, it was kind of a packed week. This week is a little bit more relaxed because I get to work from home. And yeah, it's because my boss is out of town. So I get to work from
Nice.
home.
That's very nice.
Yeah. It's
Cool.
mid-winter break. Apparently that's a thing at some schools.
Weird.
Not my school, but like at the elementary schools and stuff. And the middle schools and the high schools and some of the places. Yeah. midwinter break time. So a lot of people are taking it off because they have to take care of their kids.
Okay.
Yeah.
Kids these days, they just don't want to learn. Kidding.
Yeah.
Just kidding. No, that's super fun though. That's very nice. I do have one additional update, and that is that I'm soon to be no longer fun employed.
Yes,
Which is
that's
super exciting.
super fun.
I will have a job again, which is going to be really nice, and it is in a place that is near to my house, and it will give me money, and it will be inside, and I will have a desk, and so it's checking all of my boxes, and they seem to have enjoyed my presence more than I initially thought they did. Just from the, conversation of the like, oh, we're so glad you accepted our offer, and we're really happy to have you on our team.
Aw,
So yeah, I'm
great.
I'm pleased about that, and I'm also very pleased to not have to worry about money for much longer.
Yeah, it's
It's very
stressful.
nice. It
It's
is.
super stressful to
Yeah.
have like, I've kind of got money, but like not really.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So I'll breathe a little easier, and just like we were talking about in one of our past episodes, maybe I'll let myself have a silly little treat a little more often.
A silly little treat.
Love it. Love it, love
Yeah.
it.
So my craft of the week this week was fabric fiber dyeing with natural pigments. So I had all of these dried flowers and I had a bunch of different types of fabrics. I think I had silk and then like a muslin and then one other thing that I didn't end up dyeing. But I sprinkled, you have to dampen the cloth and then you sprinkle your dyeing agents. So for me, it was like flowers, and I think there were some like little wood chippy thingies. I don't know. They were all natural.
That's so fun.
Because this was this kit I got, and then you roll it up together. I think it's called eco printing or bundle dyeing.
Cool.
But then you roll it up, and then
Yeah.
you bundle it with some twine, and then you steam it with a pot of boiling water.
Oh.
And I added some vinegar to really get the color in.
Yeah.
And you let that sit for like 40 minutes to an hour. You can do more or less time depending on how vibrant you want the colors. And then you take them out. You let everything dry. I used a hair dryer because I was impatient.
Nice.
And then you unravel it, and it was so pretty. I'll show you them
That's
later.
so cool. I would
Yeah.
love to see them. I think I might have seen the beginning of your Instagram post, but I
Ooh,
don't know if
yeah.
I didn't have the volume on,
Yeah.
so I was like, what's going
You were like,
on?
it was weird. I'll
Yeah.
look at it
I was
later.
like, I need to set aside actual time to focus on this, and then I was around friends all the time.
Of
So
course, of course.
there you go.
And that is friend time. Friend time is sacred.
Our time is sacred.
But yeah, so that was my craft of the week.
Yay, that's so fun. Ah, love, love,
Love,
love.
love. I think that moves us on to the topic of this podcast, which I'm not sure if we mentioned earlier, but we were thinking of fun things to do, and we thought that superstitions might be a nice little topic to discuss. If you are not aware of what a superstition is, just because, I don't know, maybe you're not.
Right.
It's basically when you believe something must happen or must not happen that is directly involved in another thing occurring.
Right.
That's very vague in the sense of it. But I think it'll be a little bit more understandable once we get into some examples. And most of you probably know what superstitions are, anyways. Yeah.
If you believe in things that you don't understand, you
Yeah.
will suffer. Superstition ain't the way. That's okay. Song lyrics. I'm being dumb.
No, you're not. You're not.
Oh yeah.
It's
So
very
Kiera and I both thought of a couple different superstitions that we grew up with, and we're gonna share them with you. So if you want, I can start.
Please do. I feel like yours are more interesting. I came up with this idea because I had, again, you have that like one thing in your head that you are like, this would be a great podcast episode. And then I usually have that thing, forget to write it down, but remember to write down what I think that the topic of the episode should be. And so then when I was like, wait, what are my superstitions? I kind of forgot. So hopefully some of them will come back to me as we talk.
I think that sounds good.
Yeah.
I think that sounds good. So I have two Irish grandmothers, and Irish grandmothers I use mildly loosely because their grandparents or great grandparents were the ones that immigrated here. So like very
Okay.
American grandmothers, but very like these were the passed down Irish superstitions. Or at
Gotcha.
least that's what I was told. And so the first one comes from my mother's father, gave me Pat, and she probably is one of the more superstitious, or was one of the more superstitious people that I've ever known. And the first one that I don't think of very often unless it is, raining. But the idea is that you are never supposed to open an umbrella indoors.
Oh,
And to
yeah.
open an umbrella indoors is bad luck.
Yeah, that I feel like that is a pretty common one
There
that
you
I've
go.
heard of. And that I was also told that as a child.
Yeah.
But I think that mostly came from my mother not wanting me to like poke myself in the eye with an
Fair.
umbrella. Because when you're outside, you have a lot more space. So when you're
Mm.
inside, when you're opening umbrellas, a little bit more dangerous, I would say. And I think that's where it came from. But at least on my mom's side. From
Yeah.
the Irish side, I don't know why. I don't know what your grandparents being Irish has to do with the
I don't know.
umbrellas.
My mom just explained away a lot of the things that they said were superstitious because of.
Because they were Irish?
Well, the Irish people are more superstitious. I don't know if that's a stereotype or if it's a truth, but
I've never heard
you've
that
never
before.
heard of it?
No.
I swear to God, a character in my book's mother is Irish and she was more superstitious. I'll have to find the book. It's
Maybe it's a
by
thing.
Jodi Picoult. I know that much, but I've also read like 8 or 9 of her books, so it's hard to say which one.
That's fair. That's
Oops.
fair. I was trying to, so I also had this list of common superstitions and where they came from Google Arts and Culture. Thank you very much.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think that opening an umbrella inside is one of them.
There you go.
Yeah, but I know that one is pretty darn common. I can go on to one of the things that I guess, superstitious about, but it definitely didn't start with me. It was like my other friends believed it, and so
Mm-hmm.
I was like, I believe this too, and now it just becomes a habit. But that is that the time 11:11 is like a lucky time,
Mm-hmm.
and that anytime you see that on a clock or like on a phone screen, I don't know, which is also a clock, but I feel
Yeah.
like that's
Yeah.
usually where we check our time in these modern days. You have to make a wish,
There you go. It's true.
and if it happens, then it'll be true, and
I
it will
love
come
it.
true, I
I love
guess.
it.
Yeah.
I love wishing things. I think they're fun.
I do too. I wonder why that is a thing that we as humans do. We
Yeah.
like wish on birthdays, we wish on
Right.
stars, we
Right.
wish on times, we wish on eyelashes
Mm-hmm.
sometimes.
Coins and water features.
Yeah.
It's true. It's true. I just think it's cute. I don't know.
Yeah.
There's an old song sung by a frog in a swamp, which asks, who said that every wish would be heard and granted when wished on an evening star. So, hard to say. Anyways,
Have
I'll
you heard that
stop.
song?
It's a good song.
Sarah, yeah. If you don't know what Sarah was referencing, she was referencing a song.
It's Rainbow Connection,
Yeah.
from
Yeah.
the first Muppets movie with Kermit.
It was just slightly abstract enough to be like a frog. What? Swamp. What? Like I knew what you were talking about, but it actually took me a second.
I know. You're like, where is Sarah going with this? This is a bit silly. Well, that's sweet. I think that's very sweet. Okay, I have another one then, which I think might also be more popular than I thought it was. And I am now realizing that a lot of these superstitions that my gammy Pat had were also just like, it's superstition because we're trying to control our children's in the best way.
Yeah.
And that was if you put your shoes on the bed, it's very bad luck.
Yeah.
And like, I don't know, it's just odd that someone had to say it, you know? Because, like, why would you put your shoes on the bed
To
in the
begin
first
with.
place? Sounds just icky.
Some naughty little kid.
Some naughty little kid put his shoes on the bed, and then everything was bad.
Yeah.
And now people say that it's bad luck.
Hmm.
Have you heard that one before?
I haven't heard that one before, but I can definitely believe that is a common like household superstition thing.
There you go. Especially in hotel rooms, because you might be setting your dress shoes and your suit jacket on the hotel room bed, but it is very bad luck.
Very bad luck. Well, I am definitely going to talk about one that is like super common, but I think the fun part of it is that I'll get to tell you the history about
Sure,
it.
yeah.
And that's knocking on wood. Like,
Hmm.
whenever you say something out loud that you don't want to happen, like, wow, I haven't gotten sick all year,
Knock on
you
wood.
gotta knock on wood,
Mm-hmm.
or else, what you've said will come to pass. Like,
Yeah.
you will get sick then.
Like Murphy's Law.
Hmm. And so that's super common. I feel like everybody holds that even as like a fake superstition. It's almost like force of habit. It's like part of culture
Yeah.
almost. But according to Google Arts and Culture, knocking on wood comes from Indo-European, Celtic, or possibly British descent.
Celtic,
Yeah,
kind of
maybe.
Irish, Gaelic, and all
Hmm.
in there.
Also British or Indo-European, but
True.
yeah.
Anyway, I'm just saying that I feel mildly
Validated.
validated. Please continue.
Any list of superstitions would have to begin with arguably the most well known and universal superstition, to knock on wood. The actual origins and even meanings of this phrase are as varied as the cultures which use it, with some suggesting roots in Indo European or Celtic belief that spirits good and bad resided in trees, who could either be called upon for protection or chased away by knocking on their home, and
Hmm.
others, particularly Christians, linking the practice to the magical power of the wooden crucifix. Most likely among the different theories, historians have attributed the superstition to a 19th century British children's game called Tiggy Touchwood,
Hmm.
in which young players claimed immunity from being tagged by touching the nearest piece of wood. Adults picked up on the habit and the phrase, as the British say, touch wood today. And the rest is history.
Yeah. I actually was going to mention that in England they don't say knock on wood, they say touch wood. Yeah, I should have said
Wow.
it before you read that because it would have seemed more cool, but there you are.
She
I
studied
have
abroad.
read it. I was there. I did do it.
She studied
I did,
abroad.
I
She
did.
studied abroad.
Fun.
Yeah.
Well, I have another one that is from my other grandma,
Hmm.
on my mom's side, and we've all heard, if you spill salt, you have to take a pinch of it and throw it over your left shoulder, or else it's bad luck.
I didn't know it was your left shoulder. I thought it was just a shoulder.
Oh, it's got to be the left.
Okay.
It's got to
Well,
be the left.
darn it.
Come on. You can't do it. You have to. The thing really is that you have to cross over yourself.
Oh.
Is the idea. But anyways, that's not what I was gonna say. This one she would always say is to hand me salt is to hand me sorrow. You cannot just if someone says, "Hey, will you pass the salt?" You cannot just hand them the salt. You have to hand them both the salt and the pepper. Again, a like manners thing.
Yeah.
But the little rhyme would always kind of make me laugh. Is to hand me salt is to hand me sorrow. And she would be like, "Sarah, the salt and pepper are like a bride and groom. You would never split up a bride and groom."
I don't like pepper that.
Well, hey, there you go. Maybe you just enjoy Sarah. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. But yeah, so I don't know, and it just reminds me of that. So it's like, I remember asking her when she first was telling me this, and I was like old enough to really think about it critically, and I was like, but Gammy, if you're eating dinner with someone you don't like,
Whoa. Do you
would
just
you
hand
just
them
hand them
one?
the salt, and just be like, nah, I hate you.
Wow.
I don't know.
What did she say?
Well, I cannot remember, honestly, but I do remember wondering it, and I don't know if that wonder made it out of my head and into conversation, or if it was just in my head and I thought about it for a while.
Well, now we're all going to wonder about
It's
it.
true. It's true. Hey,
If someone just hands you one salt shaker, they don't like you.
that's probably what it is. It's a social cue. It's an unwritten rule and a social cue.
Well, I do have the origins for this one as well.
Nice.
So, throwing salt over your shoulder comes from European/Christian roots and ancient Roman roots.
Hmm.
Um, it says perhaps the next most common superstition, at least in the West, involves tossing salt over one's shoulder. Like knocking on wood, this superstition also involves the idea of warding off evil, in this case, the devil himself. In Leonardo da Vinci's The Last Supper, Jesus' betrayer, Judas, is portrayed as having accidentally spilled salt. Since Judas was associated with doing something bad, the argument goes that ipso facto, so was salt, and throwing it over your shoulder would blind the devil waiting there.
Oh.
Yeah.
So if you spill salt, the devil's gonna come get you. But if you throw the salt over your shoulder, you'll hit the devil and you go away.
Yeah, but why does that have to be your left shoulder?
I don't know. I'm just telling you that you have to cross yourself. Maybe it's a Jesus cross yourself kind of thing.
Maybe so.
I don't know. Hard to say.
There's a lot of other like fun ones on here that are pretty common, like walking under a ladder, European, Christian, possibly Egyptian roots, but the superstition comes from not wanting to walk under a ladder and has Christian symbolism from the Holy Trinity of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, which led to the association of the number 3 with something sacred. The triangle with its 3 sides came to be regarded as sacred as well. And a ladder, of course, forms a triangle. So naturally, to walk under that ladder would be to destroy the sanctity of the Trinity and thus incur punishment. So, yeah, it seems like a lot of these are rooted in religion, which makes sense.
Yeah.
As much as superstition feels like, I don't know, to me it feels like the opposite of religion sometimes.
Right. Yeah.
But a lot
they're
of them
linked.
are rooted.
That makes sense. That
Yeah.
makes sense. Does it say anything in there about, not crossing the path of a black cat?
Yes. Oh, and it says a little bit more about the ladder. The ladder's resemblance to a gallows also didn't help matters, nor did the fact of the obvious danger of something falling from it. Finally, the Egyptians apparently thought that one might accidentally spot a god going up or down on a ladder, so they avoided it. But there are things about a black cat. So let me see if I can find where this is. Okay. Black cats. They did a really bad job of fonting, so it's very hard to read
tough.
sometimes.
I'm
So sorry that's why I'm kind of like. But the superstition about black cats being unlucky comes from European roots. Though cats have often been associated with good luck rather than its opposite and were even worshipped as gods in ancient Egypt, things took a turn for the worse for our dark-colored feline friends around the Dark Ages when in 1232 AD, a papal bull by Pope Gregory the Ninth declared them an incarnation of Satan, according to People magazine. Thank you, People magazine, for reporting such amazing things. Things only went downhill for black cats from there, when people of the Middle Ages burning them in bonfires on holy days. On Shrove Tuesday, the first Sunday of Lent, and even Easter, and with the Puritans in America connecting them to the practice of witchcraft. Also, the color black has long been associated with evil and death, which didn't help matters for our furry friends who had the misfortune of being born the color of night.
Huh.
So,
But it says
lots of
nothing
bad
about crossing streets. Weird.
No, it doesn't. It
Okay.
doesn't.
Interesting.
Which I think
fair.
is commonly
Yeah.
associated.
Right.
Yeah.
If a black cat crosses your path, you gotta go the other way. I keep on seeing the picture of the horseshoe on there.
And wanting to know what it is.
Well, because my mom would always have this thing where people would give her horseshoes because she's a horse girl. And the idea was, do you want to have the horseshoe facing up over, because they would put it over the entryway. Do you want it
yes.
facing up to catch the luck, or do you want it facing downwards to pour the luck onto the home? And I don't know. It was always a question of which was best. I have two
It's
more
annoying.
superstitions to share with you from my family, though.
You have 2 more?
I
Okay,
have
perfect.
2 more.
And then I have one more that's like related to only me. That is a superstition that I have. So I would love to hear yours.
Nice. I also totally lied. I only have 1 more.
Okay.
But the one is that it is incredibly good luck, and or you can make a wish whenever you see in the same sight line a white horse and a bale of hay. Now, I don't want you to laugh too much, because you would think that my mom made this up because we own white horses and therefore every time we feed them we see a white horse and a bale of hay. But she would only ever say it if we saw hay being like trucked on the highway, or if we saw a horse being trucked on the highway, and then we also would see like a field that also happened to have hay or a horse. So it has to be like happenstance.
Yeah.
That
can't
makes
just
it lucky.
Be like, yeah. It can't be a plan. Like, you can't just put a horse out and a bale of hay.
Right,
and
exactly.
Be like,
and then be
luck,
like, I
luck,
can
luck.
make a wish. You know,
Yeah.
that'd be like tearing out your own eyelash.
It
Doesn't
has to
work.
naturally fall out.
Exactly, exactly. So, if naturally you happen to see, a bunch of hay going by and a white horse, then you can make a wish.
Wow, I've never heard that. Was that a thing that your mom made up though? Like, did she get lucky one day when she saw that and was like, this is always going to be lucky?
I feel like her mom told her this. I
Okay.
feel like, and did Gammy make it up? Hard to
Maybe.
say. Hard to
Maybe.
say. There's a very good chance. Did I make up that getting pooped on by a bird was good luck to make a friend feel less sad the other day?
No, that's real.
Oh, well, good.
Well, I mean, like, it's a real superstition. I don't know if it's actually lucky.
I've been pooped on. I will say that I'm very lucky because I've been pooped on by a bird 3 times.
Wow.
It's a lot of times.
I've gotten almost pooped on many times. I've only actually gotten pooped on like by a bird once.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
But there've been a lot of close calls where I was like, what's happening?
Yeah.
But that's another thing about superstitions is that they can kind of be made up at any time. It's like when people have lucky socks, or when I used to play sports like volleyball or tennis, there was a certain amount of times that I had to bounce the ball before I would serve it, or else I like knew it was going to be a bad serve. Like if I didn't bounce it like exactly, it was like a whole rhythm too. It wasn't just
Yeah.
like 1, 2, 3, 4. It was like 1, 2, 3, 4 or something like that.
Ah.
And if you don't have that rhythm, it doesn't feel the same. Like you get in this habit of how you play every
Yeah.
single time. And so that used to be one of my superstitions.
I like that. I think that's fun.
But yeah, I don't have like lucky socks or lucky shirts or anything like that.
I think that's good for cleanliness.
Yeah. If you do have one, we're not judging you.
No.
But I don't think washing it would wash out its luck, personally.
No.
Or maybe some Febreze would be great.
Yeah, that's fair. Did have a shirt that I thought was a lucky shirt because the first, like, not 2 times that I had worn it, but when I had worn it and done my hair, I had gotten asked out.
Wow.
I know, which was
That's
wild.
pretty good.
I didn't wear that shirt very often, let's be real, because it was not super comfortable, but I did look cute in it. And I was like, this is my man catching shirt. I catch the men in it.
I did have one dress that I would always wear to interviews and would always get the job.
Nice.
And by always, I think it happened like twice again. Like once is a coincidence.
Mm-hmm.
Two seems like a pattern.
I think that's not what people actually say. I think it's
No.
2's a coincidence and 3's a pattern, but
I know,
at the
but
same time,
I know that's the actual thing, but I'm pushing it up one because I believe in luck.
it's so funny. I love that. I think that's great. I'm trying to think if I have any other things that I do that are just kind of silly.
Well, I have one more.
Oh,
That
yes.
the sports one wasn't really
That was
one.
just-
That was just a connecting. I was thinking of it while you were saying it. But I also have one other superstition that is definitely just me and probably mostly me giving myself like a placebo effect. But I always, when it gets really late at night, I am more of a night owl than Sarah, it should be said. And so I regularly stay up a bit later, but once it gets past like midnight, 1 a.m., I stop looking at the clock. Because in my mind, I have convinced myself that if I don't look at the clock, time will not pass. Therefore, I will be less tired in the morning.
That's so funny.
I'm one of those people that kind of like count the amount of time that I've slept after I've woken up. It's one of those things where when I know what time it is, I will be like, oh my God, I can't believe I only got 5 hours of sleep. That's horrible. But then if I don't know what time I woke up, or not what time I woke up, if I don't know what time I went to sleep, then I can't do that calculation. So I'll probably got a decent enough amount of sleep. It'll be fine.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's fair. That makes a lot of sense. Sometimes I know that I need to fall asleep in a certain amount of time to get the amount of hours that I want, right? So say I want 8 hours of sleep and that means that I need to fall asleep in the next 15 minutes. There's no freaking way. Even if I hadn't thought that I was like, I need to fall asleep fast. But as soon as I get that thought in my mind where it's like, I need to fall asleep right now in order to get these hours, I simply cannot fall asleep for so long. And it's really unfortunate. So I might have to jump on your superstition there.
Yeah, I literally like put my phone down and then like tell everyone to not tell me what time it is very clearly. And I'm not sure if that's a superstition or just like a self-preservation method, but regardless.
I think they go hand in hand. I think they
Yeah,
go hand
I
in
think so
hand.
too. I think so too.
That's funny. I will say that a friend in Nebraska and I were talking about um, ways in which we think that we will like kind of jinx ourselves.
Mm.
And so this friend was talking about how she has never been pulled over by the cops
Oh no.
and is our
Knock on
job.
wood, knock on wood.
Right, exactly. So A, knock on wood, and then B, she is like hyper vigilant to be obeying all of the traffic rules, not speeding, blah, blah, blah. And, like, most people our age would be like, yeah, I'll have one drink and then I'll have some waters and a meal and then I could probably drive home. But
Mm-hmm.
she's like, I can't risk it right now. Because, even if there's it's itty bitty bitty drop of alcohol in my system, I'm just going to be asking for it at this point. Which is, again, kind of the Murphy's Law.
But I mean,
Um,
that's also a very good practice.
it
It'd
is a
be
good
one thing if it
practice.
was like silly stuff like, oh my gosh, I've never stepped out the door with my left foot instead of my right foot, and if I do
Yeah.
that, my whole day is gonna be
Right,
ruined.
right.
It's like, okay, that's like a legitimate
No,
like
it's super fair.
thing.
It's super fair. But like no one's gonna pull you over for going five over on the interstate.
One could hope.
One could hope. One could hope.
Sarah, just kidding.
No, that's super fair. I'm a safe driver, I swear to God. I've never been pulled over in my life, you guys. That's
Not
a
even
lie.
once.
Not even
Especially
once.
not within the last
Definitely
week.
not here. And definitely not I apparently the ticket did come in the mail.
Dang.
Yeah, yeah. I got a picture of it. Matthew sent me a picture of it and he was like, this came, and I was like, I'm not gonna ask him to open that because it would be a
You don't want
bummer
to
for me to
know.
be like, so is it bad? And
Oh.
then he has to decide what's bad and what's good. It would have been bad. But anyways,
Yeah.
all you need
If
to know is that
did
I'm a
we
perfect driver.
did we ever mention this incident though on the pod? I'm not sure if we have.
I got pulled over and was very sad about it, and I was given a ticket, but I wasn't actually given the ticket. I asked for a paper ticket, and he was like, "Oh no, like that's why I took down your email address and your mailing address. You should be getting an email soon." And then I never got an email, and something has come in the mail, so that's
Maybe in the
something.
morning. That would be nice.
That would be nice. We'll see. Many jokes were made as to the validity of whether or not this cop was a real cop or if this cop was an entertainer with a very good costume and lights, just because I didn't actually get anything real to hold on to.
It is
Um,
shocking. Oh,
so.
well, if it makes you feel any better, I also recently got a ticket. It was a parking ticket.
Oh,
Literally, it was one of those pay by phone things.
yeah.
You pay on your phone for a certain amount of time, and it was literally it had been expired for like 5 minutes.
Oh,
I walked down and I had a ticket. And it was like,
upsetting.
it hasn't even, why are you doing this to me?
Aw.
It wasn't like ridiculously expensive. I think it's $44. So it's definitely
Still
like
annoying though.
it's like an amount that's not going to bankrupt me, thankfully, but it
Yeah.
was also like, dang, that would have been a tank of gas.
Yeah,
Like,
that sucks.
oh, that sucks. But it's fine. It happens. It happens, especially in a city.
Happens to the best of us.
I do think that sometimes they're a little bit aggressive, and honestly, it's not necessary.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, what was I saying? Oh, it's predatory, especially for us people that are poor.
Not making a lot of money.
Yeah, we're not poor,
Yep.
but we are like
Yeah,
making
yeah.
minimal amounts of money and
Right,
living with lots of people and
right,
all of those things.
right. If that, parking ticket had been $144,
Yeah,
it would have been, a big ouch.
a big ouch.
And
So,
and so there you are. But hey,
on
that's
that
why
note,
we're always thankful for you as our listeners because we know, if we really need that monetary support, you'll come through and send us, your half your paycheck, 10%, anything that you feel like we need.
we love being influencers. Thank you to all like 10 of you who are listening. You're
That's
wonderful.
great. I will say I did market the pod to the friends that I was visiting.
Oh
So
my,
I was like, if you guys listen to the podcast, you would already know this. I'm just saying we're pretty funny. We have a good following. So, if you are new here and you're listening for the first time, thank you so much. And share this with your friends
Yes.
and share this with someone that you know who is superstitious
Your
and or
grandparents, your
yeah.
Irish friends.
Yes, please. Let us know what superstitions you have.
Mm-hmm. Because there's a lot out there. There were a couple that I was reading about, like especially about colors and things, like lucky
Mm,
colors.
interesting.
We definitely didn't get into that, but we could.
Very fun.
We should do a whole episode on colors. I think
Okay.
colors are fun.
Yeah.
I think you might not hold as much esteem, but I can create the episode.
Okay.
Yeah.
If you lead me through it, I'll be there. I don't know if you came to me and was like, Sarah, can you talk for 20 minutes on colors? I'd be like, no.
But thanks again so much for listening. We really enjoy having you here. We enjoy making these little fun episodes. It's a great time for us to catch up because we've been so busy recently
It's
that
so
honestly
true.
we haven't seen each other as much. Like even though we live in the same house,
I know.
I feel like we aren't having our fun catch up times informally. Now we have to have a little bit of formal time, but that's okay too.
Yeah,
We have an Instagram,
it's true.
which is alive and thriving.
Yes, it is. I love it. You should go there. You should like it. We also post our episodes every Wednesday on Spotify and YouTube.
Yes.
And we may not have a video, but you can still go over to YouTube and give us that big old thumbs up button and spread the word with your palsies. Subscribe, rate us highly on Spotify.
And like Sarah said before, let us know what some of your superstitions are. We're super excited to hear them because there's a lot of very niche ones that I wanted to get into, but then I was like, nah, this isn't a history lesson. Let's see what Sarah and Kiera like. So maybe next time, maybe if we are doing this near Halloween next year, probably not, but maybe if we
Could be
are,
fun.
Superstition Part 2.
Could be fun, could be fun.
Yes.
Wonderful.
But thanks again for listening, and we will talk to you next week on
Arguably speaking. Bye.